Hello, this is John Flannery, and I'd like to take a few minutes to talk about what is really breaking news today. And it is the attitude of Trump and DeSantis that they would pardon the insurrectionists who broke the law, who tried to return Trump to office, though he lost the election for president. He tried to convince his vice president to violate and ignore the law and to make him the president, though he lost the election. They talked about fraud in the election, but there was none. They invoked legal theories that don't exist and that are fallacious. In other words, they constructed a con to cover their efforts to overthrow our government. This is not acceptable. These autocrats should have been brought to law, and they weren't. And because they weren't brought to law, we have seen a string of unconstitutional and unlawful acts ever since. In fact, we have a Congress that is populated in part by those who were sympathetic to the insurrection because they don't abide by the law. They don't abide by our Constitution. And we're the weaker by the fact that our Attorney General, the so-called law enforcement authority, has done nothing to these people, nothing to Trump, nothing to those who helped him. Even though a vice president was threatened with death, even though a speaker of the House was threatened with being kidnapped and has had threats since. And the spouse of our speaker has had threats and attacked. We cannot tolerate this. If there is no law, there is no security. If there is no law, there is no democracy. There is no republic dependent upon people representing our nation. The people are now being ignored. They're being ignored because Trump has long said, now weeks, months, that when elected, if elected, he would pardon those who committed the crimes that were necessary to his insurrection that failed. DeSantis has said not only is he thinking about pardoning people as he prepares to run against Trump to see if he will be the nominee of the Republican Party, he says not only will he forgive those who committed these insurrectionist, seditious acts who tried to overthrow our government, but he would also pardon Trump. You can see what a sick place we are. And in part, we're at this position because we have reacted out of weakness, cowardice, failed to do what is supposed to be done by law enforcement, and that is to call foul, to prosecute those who should be brought to justice. You know, we have had these reassurances from the Department of Justice, from Attorney General Garland. If he has decided not to assume the office, that is to do the functions of the office, then he should leave office. We have a new special counsel who we're told is doing something and may do something. And what is he waiting for? He was appointed last November, and we're nowhere. And I've had other prosecutors tell me who are more impartial than I am as I state these things to you now and as I've stated them in the past, who have said that they thought 90 days would be enough for anybody who came on the scene. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. So much of this misconduct has been out there in the open. And because it's been out there in the open, even now when they talk about pardoning those who committed crimes on their behalf, we are doing nothing. Is the Attorney General going to say something? Don't you think he should at least gather people for a tea and tell them that this is outrageous? But is that beyond him? I think it is. I think that he has failed his oath of office. I think he has failed the nation. And the proof, Exhibit A, is the fact that people, public figures, are asking for pardons for those who committed crimes against this nation. Article 14, Section 3 provides that if you support an insurrection, that you can be barred from running for office. Why doesn't that apply to Trump? Why doesn't that apply to DeSantis? The Washington Post today wrote a scathing editorial against this conduct. So we have the noise, but do we have the fire, the action, the lightning that strikes the mark, that changes from where we are, which is kind of a defensive, pleading nation. Please, please, please don't break the law anymore. Please, please, please be regular. Citizens adrift, upset, because they don't see the strength in the government that is supposed to be the proudest bastion of democracy in the world. So those are a few thoughts I have today. What can you do? Call justice and say, get off your ass and do something. Call the members of Congress and say, this will not stand. Pursue these people who would destroy our nation. This is going to have major effects to everybody. As I'm talking to you, they're talking about limiting what they do in terms of assuring the general welfare of the nation. And I'm talking about the debt limit. There's more that they would do. We have people that are not rational in the sense of our historic heritage, our still imperfect promise that all of us are equal and that the law is for all of us and no man is above the law. No man is above the law has become the haunting error and lie of our time because plainly these people enjoy it, and they do it with impunity. We have to change that. The judge yesterday spoke very clearly about how horrendous was the conduct of these people on the ground who committed this insurrection. But for Trump and others, they would not have had a cause to do this. We have to react to those who are enemies of the people. And the enemies of the people are Trump and DeSantis and anyone who stands with them in this effort. I thank you for indulging me on these comments. I know I normally have a different pattern, but I thought this was so outrageous today that I couldn't contain myself. But this is not just for me, it's for all of those people who agree, that, like I do, that this cannot stand and we have to change it. So thanks for listening. Have a good day. Talk to you. Bye-bye.